This is the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today's Monday, July 17th, 2023. Let's take a look at the numbers over the past 72 hours. First slide, please. Okay, so in the power grid itself, PJM Penelec and PJM PP&L, nothing too radical in terms of the averages. $30.92 for PJM Penelec, that's the western side of Pennsylvania where the Scrubgrass plant is located. Over on the eastern side of the state of Pennsylvania, PJM PP&L, average grid price is over 72 hours, $27.40. Bear in mind, there are spikes though. Okay, there are times during the day when these grid prices really go up, like over $100. So bear that in mind. The average doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour, a phenomenal $89.72. That is a really important number for Stronghold, as I will talk a little bit more about in just a moment. Finally, Bitcoin, the spot price of Bitcoin, the average 30,390 with a network hash rate of 377. Back to me, please. And by the way, I should point out that the price of Bitcoin as I'm creating this is a bit below 30,000 per coin. The entire Bitcoin, publicly traded Bitcoin mining ecosystem really took a bit of a dive today, Stronghold Digital Mining included. Again, that happens in the market sometimes. But I want to go back to that Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour. That's an incredibly important number. So anytime that we see an average of, say, like 89 plus, as we saw over the past 72 hours, that means that even when grid prices are low, and by low I mean, say, like $30, right, numbers like that, kind of like what the average was, we have that opportunity, right, to take the electricity that we're producing ourselves at our waste coal reclamation facilities, which are essentially power plants, right, and we can then turn around and actually just use that electricity ourselves. Instead of trying to sell it to the grid, we can use it ourselves to mine Bitcoin. So I love seeing numbers that are over basically about $79 a megawatt as it relates to Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour. Anything above 79, I think is really advantageous and useful to us, assuming we are still, generally speaking, at the same level of company expenses in terms of our core expenses, right, of fuel, operations and maintenance, general administrative, those three categories, right? If they're the same as they were in Q1 2023, then anything that's going to be $79 or higher as it relates to BTCMW, right, which is Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour, that's a huge win for Stronghold Digital Mining from an operational perspective. So that's a number that I tend to look at a lot. Now, there was a question that came up, right? That's something I've been researching, and the research kind of continues, but I want to give you an update. I was hoping that I might be able to provide a formal presentation today as to my findings. As of right now, I think there's probably an 80% chance that we cannot do the following. Say we're producing electricity, then we sell that electricity into the grid. Then furthermore, imagine that grid pricing is less than Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour, thereby allowing us to potentially simultaneously import power from the grid, which is something we can do. That is something without a doubt we can do. But this question of like, hey, can we simultaneously be generating electricity, sending it to the grid, and then at the same time pulling electricity from the grid to power the data centers? It doesn't appear as if though that's something that is feasible, but I haven't reached a complete conclusion. So I don't want to waste your time with a lengthy presentation, that basically concludes with, hey, we can't really do this, but hey, it's a cool idea. So as of right now, I think there's like an 80% chance we probably can't do this, but the research is ongoing, and I will follow up once I'm, say, closer to like 99% sure one way or the other. Now, there's another question it's a perpetual question, right? This issue of like, hey, what's our market cap? How many shares are outstanding, so on and so forth. Okay, here's the deal. As it relates to our market cap, I am 100% comfortable simply mimicking what I see in our published investor presentations. So for example, if you go to the Q1 2023 investor presentation, which is on the Stronghold Digital Mining.com website, and you pull up that PDF and you examine it, you'll see pretty much, I think it's like on page 3, don't quote me on that, there's a methodology that the company itself is using to calculate the market cap, right? I believe you could generally describe it as like a treasury method, right? So that's what I'm using on the Designer.com dashboard. So like when you look on the bottom left-hand corner of the Designer.com dashboard and you see that market cap computation, I'm basically mimicking what is included in our most recent Q1 2023 investor presentation. Now, that being said, I think there is a meaningful difference between, sort of like a treasury method calculated market cap and ultimately what, like how many shares there are out there, right, that have the potential to be traded. So, in that regard, okay, if you look at a lot of the popular websites that sort of talk about us having maybe 5, maybe 6 million shares as of right now, right? Because remember, we did do that reverse stock split. 5 or 6 million shares out there in terms of Class A common stock. That insofar as like what's actively tradable, that's probably more relevant, especially for those of you who do like the excitement and sort of like danger of buying some shares, flipping them, hoping you'll get in at a lower price. That I think is going to be the metric you might want to use a bit more, because then that's kind of giving you more direct feedback as to, all right, look, when it comes to pure supply and demand, how many shares are potentially being traded out there versus not. I think that's probably, and maybe you'd agree, maybe not, let me know in the comments. I think the Class A, the number of Class A shares that are out there, that's going to probably be the metric you want to use, okay? And in that regard, again, there's a lot of sites out there that provide that information. In fact, you can go quite literally to the Q1 2023 SEC filing. If I'm not mistaken, it will say as of May 8th, 2023, fill in the blank. I don't want to quote the exact amount because it escapes me at the moment. It's a pre 1 for 10 reverse stock split amount. So it's going to look like a big number. Just divide that by 10. Okay, so then you'll kind of have a better sense as of May 8th, how many Class A shares are out there. I want to say that it would have been in like the $53 million range. Please don't quote me on that. So if you divide that by 10, you get roughly 5.3 million shares as of May 8th. Now remember, the reverse stock split was on May 15th. I know, there's a lot of complicating little, things that go into this. Here's the really cool news and the really good news. Our Q2 investor presentation is not that far away, maybe, roughly 2+ weeks away. So we're really close to getting an update. We'll see what the regulatory filings show. We can then get a clear, updated picture of not only what the market cap is computed to be as computed in the investor presentation, but then we can also take a fresh look at the regulatory filing for Q2, and we'll see what's revealed in that paperwork, right, to give a better sense of how many Class A shares are actually out there. Because again, for those of you who enjoy the trade, that's probably going to be more relevant than a treasury method derived market cap. Okay, look at tough day in the market. One thing to consider on a day like this where you're like, man, like it sucks, like the stock kind of slid, bear in mind, again, the entire publicly traded Bitcoin mining ecosystem took a bit of a nosedive. So we're in, good company, so to speak. I would be far more concerned if every other company in the publicly traded Bitcoin mining ecosystem was up like 10 or 15% and we were down like 6%. Then I'd say, hey, wait, is there something specific to us that might be causing this? Based on what we saw today, though, there's nothing that really indicates, hey, there's something wrong with Stronghold Digital Mining. No, it's just really that the market as a whole decided to take more of an extended breather. And so it is what it is. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Until then, as always, let's stay positive, let's be great, and I'll see you then.